and to the 34-yard line is Ronnie Williams, who will get the start at tight end. A 12-yard return by Williams on the short kick. So Bernie Kosar at the controls of the Miami offense. They'll line up this way, and they are strong up front with Webb starting his 68th straight game. Ruddy a little nicked up. We could see Burt Widener today. Kosar 353 yards against New Orleans, most in the league last week, but did have a couple of interceptions. Tony Kirby a couple of fumbles, so Parmalee starts at running back. Gary Clark, the third wide receiver. Kirby in on passing downs. Shift to split backs in the backfield. Byers and Parmalee. And play action. Kosar across the middle to Parmalee, trying to get outside, and is corralled and taken down by Mo Lewis. And the Jets defensively will go this way. Up front, Howard, Casillas, Brock, and Washington. Donald Evans is injured. Marvin Jones has recovered from that ankle injury, starts his second game with Lewis moving back outside. Jets secondary hit by injuries. The rookie Joseph starts at one corner. And in passing situations, Greenwood will be the fifth defensive back. Second and long for Kosar. Hand to Parmalee. And the Jets play it tough up the middle. And only a yard or two with Tony Casillas, the veteran, leading the defensive charge.
And the Miami Dolphins had problems last week against the New Orleans Saints, trying to run the football and not starting off very well there either. For Don Shula and his staff, he made the change, put in Bernie Parmalee because of some of the fumble problems that Terry Kirby had. And Terry Kirby originally got the job away from Bernie Parmalee because of some of the fumble problems that Parmalee had. So it's gone back and forth.
Coach Shula did say both will play, and in fact, Kirby is in there now. Kosar from the gun. Not a whole lot of pressure, and he finds his receiver Clark. Gary Clark is stopped, though, about a yard short of the first down by the safety Victor Green.
Well, a good start for this Jet defense. They desperately needed to begin to get off the field and give their offense a chance. Unfortunately, their offense has been playing so poorly that it's sort of broken the spirits a little bit of some of the defensive players. Mo Lewis making that point during the course of this past week.
John Kidd to punt. You see his numbers, averaging almost 43 a punt. Dexter Carter deep for the Jets. High kick from Kidd. Carter settles under it and fumbles the football. Still loose. And the Jets may have gotten on it back at around the 16-yard line. And Carter has those recurring fumble problems. He just cannot seem to get a handle on those punt returns. And he did recover his own fumble here.
Absolutely amazing that a punt return specialist has had these kinds of problems. We saw a couple of weeks ago against the Buffalo Bills, the fumble right before the half completely turned that football game around. And I'm sure Rich Kotite is just going crazy. I don't know how much longer you can leave Dexter Carter back there. Eventually, you've got to at least just catch the football. Somebody on that team has to be able to catch a punt.
That's the question. I mean, how long do you go with him when he continues to fumble the football? He did get his own, a 38-yard punt by Kidd. Bobby Brister, swollen thumb and all. It's on his throwing hand. Hard to take a snap, hard to grip the throw, but he said it's better this week. And he completes his first pass to Charles Wilson for a short gain. As the Jets line up this way, they have only 2 touchdowns their last 4 games. That offensive line has struggled. McIver could get a quick hook at left tackle today. We'll see. Brister on the season, 1 touchdown, 5 interceptions. Morrell, the top rusher. Crabette, the leading receiver among all NFL rookies. And the Jets will use a 2 tight end formation at times, bringing in the rookie Kyle Brady. 2nd and 5 for the Jets. Their opening series of the game, scoreless at Giant Stadium. Morrell close to a first down. Adrian Morrell stopped by Troy Vincent. Here's the way the Miami defensive unit lines up to start the game. Front 4 needing to get a better pass rush than they have in recent weeks. Cross still looking for his first sack. Brian Cox leads the team in tackles and in sacks. And Troy Vincent, you'll remember, a 69-yard interception return for a touchdown against the Jets in Miami's Game 1 victory this season. In the Dolphins' dime, Smith and Buckley are the extra defensive backs. There is Brian Cox, number 51, the heart and soul of this Miami defense. Morrell twisting his way across the 30 to the 32, wrestled back by Michael Stewart and others.
And already these guys going after each other a little bit after the play. But for Adrian Morrell, he really has finally come into his own for the New York Jets. At the beginning of the season, Ronald Moore was supposed to be the back. They made the trade with the Cardinals and brought him over, sent Rob Moore there, and of course draft picks back and forth. But Rich Kotite really didn't think of Adrian Morrell as very much more than just a change of pace guy, kind of a Dave Meggett, Eric Metcalf kind of guy. But he has earned that starting job with some good play.
Those 304 yards, ranked 10th in the AFC. Brister wide open to Wilson. Charles Wilson has a Jet first down close to midfield, tackled by J.B. Brown and by Chris Singleton. Wilson has been vocal, saying he wants the ball more. He has 2 receptions early.
And Bubby Brister already so much sharper than what he was a week ago against Carolina. He's taken the tape off his thumb, and it just looks like he's got a better grip on the football right now than what he had a week ago. And you mentioned Charles Wilson. He said, just throw it deep every once in a while, even if you don't mean to. Just throw it down there. Let's at least scare him somewhat during the course of a game.
That one good for 17. Brister in trouble. Buys some time and whips it down the sideline, incomplete. Brister electing to throw it away. Good decision as Jeff Cross flushed him from the pocket.
Poor Jeff Cross. We asked him last night about the fact that he doesn't have any sacks. He led the team last year with 9.5, has led the team 5 out of the last 6 years. And he said, I came into a similar situation against the Jets a couple of years ago in which I didn't have any sacks about the 5th or 6th game and came in here and had a decent game. But he had all sorts of reasons. I won't say excuses, all sorts of reasons why he didn't have a sack. And I don't think we have enough time to go into all those right here.
I think the bottom line of what he says is quit worrying about what might happen. They might make a big play. Just be aggressive. Adrian Morrell picking his way for 2 or 3 tough yards. Reached the 48 of the Dolphins before being thrown back. It'll be 3rd and long for New York.
And for this Jet offense, this first drive so important for Rich Kotite's squad. 138 yards of offense last week against the expansion team, Carolina. It was an embarrassment. As a matter of fact, Bubby Brister apologized to his teammates after the game. That's how poor the effort was offensively.
What did Bubby say? Some of his friends called him up this week and said, you guys look like a high school team. Bubby didn't like that much. He said he has something to prove, and looking much better here in the opening series for the Jets.
Nice to have friends like that. Huh?
Right. Bubby's protection breaks down. He scrambles free and through the hands of Charles Wilson. Catchable ball. Brister hit down hard, but bounces right back up. Marco Coleman chasing Brister. Got the pass away.
At the bottom of your screen, Marco Coleman, and working against Everett McIver. Everett McIver was the guy that caused the concussion. I guess Bruce Smith caused the concussion, but he was working against Everett McIver, and McIver trying to do better. Kotite says he's playing a little bit better than last week, but still struggling at tackle.
Brian Hansen punting it to O.J. McDuffie, who lets it go, and it reaches the end zone on the fly. So on the touchback, Dolphins take over at their 20 when we return the NFL on NBC.
Like a 6 World Series, 6 basketball seasons, 6 hockey playoffs, 6 football seasons, and just 1 tune-up after 100,000 miles. Vortec engines, 1 more reason to drive a Chevy truck. Chevy trucks.
In the Stanley Laboratories, we find out just how good our decorative mirror doors are by opening and closing them over 100,000 times. Funny, isn't that the same way you do it? Decorative mirror doors from Stanley.
The more reasons you have for wanting the most secure life insurance, the better the quiet company sounds. Northwestern Mutual Life.
Introducing Membership Rewards from American Express. A rewards program that makes every dollar you spend add up to a world of choices just by using the card. For a gift, something you need. The possibilities seem endless, and all of them are free. With the Membership Rewards program, you decide where to use your rewards and what works best for you. So enroll today in Membership Rewards. Call 1-800-AXP-EARN.
There's Dan Marino on the Miami sideline, and of course it was October 8th at Joe Robbie Stadium when Marino was injured. That game against the Indianapolis Colts, a left hip injury during the third quarter as the Colts came from way down to beat the Dolphins. You see him holding that left hip. That seems to be the most troublesome of Marino's injuries. But on the pregame show, if you missed it, Chris, Dan told you he expects to start next week.
Yeah, he moved around, threw the ball a little bit during the pregame part of practice, and said that it felt good. Of course, he had the knee surgery as well, but the hip, the one still giving him the problem. But he said, absolutely, I'll be in there against the Buffalo Bills next week.
Are you sure he just isn't embarrassed to be on that cup with Daffy Duck? Are you sure that's not it? Parmalee with blockers and hit down hard. Marvin Jones making his presence felt in a hurry as he blasted Parmalee to the turf.
And Marvin Jones coming back into this Jet lineup helps this defense so much. It moves Mo Lewis back to his natural position. And you see part of the reason why he was one of the top draft picks in the National Football League. He said that ankle is 100%, that he is feeling no ill effects of it whatsoever. And what a difference he's going to make for the Jets.
The oft-injured Jones in his third season from Florida State. Jets first-round draft choice in '93. Kozar under pressure, got away and completed it to Byers at the 25, a short gain, but a milestone for Byers, who is taken down by Mo Lewis. For Byers, the 500th reception of his career, and he'll keep that football.
Congratulations to him. Now there are 3 guys on this Miami Dolphin team with 500 catches, and that's the first time that's ever happened in the National Football League. Irving Fryer and Gary Clark, and if you're going to catch 500, this is a pretty good place to do it with the Miami Dolphins.
It's also 119 straight games with at least 1 reception for Byers. 4 wide receiver formation here. Kosar in the gun on 3rd and 6. Kosar's pass complete. O.J. McDuffie reversing his field to the 40 for a Dolphin first down.
And I'm sure O.J. McDuffie not very happy at all after his ball game a week ago against the New Orleans Saints. He muffed a punt, and it really cost this Dolphin team a chance to win that football game. But if you're going to try and play one-on-one coverage against O.J. McDuffie, it is going to be a struggle, especially when you're bringing in your nickelback, Carl Greenwood. This is Bernie Kosar at his best. You can remember him back with the Cleveland Browns running those option routes, and that's exactly what it was. Looked like he may have banged up his arm a little bit again. He injured it last week.
The sweep to Parmalee. Got a couple of good blocks, and a late flag comes in as Parmalee's taken out of bounds short of midfield by Aaron Glenn. And it'll be a hold against Miami. Today's referee, Walt Coleman. Don Shula quite relaxed last night as we talked to him.
Holding, offense number 85, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, still first down.
That's Ronnie Williams guilty of the hold. The tight end for Oklahoma State, replacing the injured Eric Green, the former Oklahoma State quarterback. He used to hand off to the likes of Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas. Now at nearly 260 pounds, playing tight end and starting in place of Green today. Now 1st and 17 for Miami. Complete to Byers. Byers one-on-one with the linebacker Mo Lewis. Takes it to the 46-yard line.
And the Miami Dolphins going right back to the passing game once again. They struggled so much with the run, and it really put too much pressure on Bernie Kosar a week ago to have to do everything himself. But because of the penalty and because of the way they struggled offensively running the football last week, no choice. It was just the Bernie show against the Saints, and he played very well. A couple of key mistakes, a couple of key turnovers, but for the most part threw the ball well.
He's 5 for 5 to start this game. Parmalee, first down, almost breaking free to the 45-yard line with Aaron Glenn hanging on for dear life.
And the Jets very fortunate indeed that that one didn't break for the distance. Some poor tackling in the middle for Jim Vecchiarelli's squad. The Buffalo Bills just ran the football at will against these Jets 2 weeks ago.
In the hurry-up offense, Parmalee wide open across the middle, dropped the football. Lonnie Young defending on the play, but Parmalee was there and Kosar hit him.
Perfect throw that time by Bernie Kosar, and Parmalee not even close to catching them. That was one of those routes across the middle where maybe the eyes wandered just a bit, and he took a shot at the end of that one. That's one that running backs, they like those little swing passes. They don't like
right.
that shot down the middle.
Like you tough wide receivers.
Thank you very much.
Terry Kirby in the backfield now. I think I called him Tony earlier. Terry Kirby. And Kosar again in the gun. Plenty of protection. Dumps it off short to Byers. No, excuse me, Kirby. And Kirby twisting and turning just short of the 30-yard line. Finally tracked down by Glenn and Young, but after a 12-yard gain and a Miami first down.
And on this particular play, very little pass rush on the outside by Marvin Washington as he got up into Richmond Webb and kind of quit at the end of that play. Terry Kirby and Bernie Kosar just playing catch. But for the Jets, you have to play with a little bit more enthusiasm than that. I mean, it's one thing not to get there. It's another thing to give up on the play.
That's what Mo Lewis was saying in the newspapers this week, that it's tough, but you have to play with enthusiasm and try to have some fun. Flags down. We'll blow that one dead. False start by Richmond Webb. And it's pretty tough to have fun. We've lost 4 in a row. You had the league's worst record at 1-6, but Lewis urging his teammates to still play with enthusiasm.
False start prior to the snap, number 73, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Actually, it was Ron Heller instead of Richmond Webb. Could have been either, I think. Two big guys, too. We shook hands with Richmond last night. Had a huge hand. He wears a size 15 ring, but he says Heller's hand is even bigger.
Yeah, he said he couldn't even play Little League football because he was too big for his age group, and his mom was afraid that he'd get hurt against some of those older boys out there. So she's still afraid.
Yeah, his mom still worries about him out there. He said, Mom, you know, I'm just as big as a lot of those guys. Maybe you ought to worry about them. Shovel pass, Byers. Got away from one man, but not the second and third. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. Aaron Glenn gets the credit. And the Jets are very familiar with the shovel pass these days.
That was embarrassing. Rich Kotite last week, of course, the interception on the shovel pass, and a humiliating play for the Jets as they were leading at halftime and trying to go in. I love, though, Bubby Brister's comment. They said that for the people that are calling it the stupidest play that they've ever seen, well, they're the stupidest people that I've ever seen. So, but in the locker room, that's okay. That flies. A lot of people would nod their head and say, yeah, well, that makes sense.
6 defensive backs on for the Jets. 2nd and 14, showing blitz. And they back out of it. And flag down. May have been too much time. I didn't see the play clock or illegal procedure. Shula's team has been troubled by penalties during this 2-game losing streak.
False start prior to the snap, number 69, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Keith Sims, the false start.
And Keith Sims has really been struggling with the turf toe. See if he flinches just a little bit early. Good call by the officials. And hasn't been able to practice very much at all, but he is a key cog up there. Of course, that left side of this Dolphins offensive line with Sims and Richmond Webb about as good as there is in football.
The Dolphins have been their own worst enemies on this drive. They'll have the football, though. 2nd and 19, scoreless first quarter. Pressure on Kosar. Got away. And a pass complete to the 20-yard line. O.J. McDuffie, as Kozar made that one happen, getting away from the rush and completing it for 20 yards.
And O.J. McDuffie has really become the man now for Bernie Kozar. He was looking to him a week ago. He said though, the thing about Bernie, you have to be careful with that guy. He'll look over to one receiver and you'll relax on the play, and all of a sudden that thing will come whipping out and it ends up hitting you right in the chest. So Bernie is one of those guys that O.J. described as having one of those left-handed pickoff moves. You know, he looks to the plate but throws over to first base. So you have to pay attention.
Lou Benfatti nearly had Kozar in the backfield, but he got away to complete it. This is the 10th play of the drive. Parmalee stopped for a loss. Penetration by Tony Casillas, and Parmalee will lose about 4 or 5 yards.
And the Jets are starting to get healthy defensively. Tony Casillas, back surgery on August the 2nd to repair some herniated disc. They certainly missed him. Marvin Washington in on the play there as well. But this is a defense that needed some time to get healthy, and now with Tony Casillas back in there, much more solid against the run.
2nd and 15. Scoreless first quarter. You see less than 2 minutes left. Kozar with plenty of time, and almost intercepted by Victor Green. That's what he had. Victor Green with a gift from Kozar, could not hold on.
And when you're struggling the way the New York Jets are struggling, you have to make this play. I mean, here's a break. Bernie didn't even see Victor Green. Some running room out in front, a full head of steam, and that's just so typical the way that things have been going so far this year for this Jet team. You see the reaction on the bench. They just need a break. They need something to go their way.
One thing the Jets have done well is in the takeaway department. They lead the AFC with 17, but of course they've turned it over many times as well. Kozar sacked. Hugh Douglas, the rookie from Central State, with his 7th sack of the season.
And while all these Jet players may not be very popular, they are in love with Hugh Douglas here. He is closing in on the rookie record for sacks, and we're not even halfway through the football season. It's been a big year for this young man. He leads the team, and really such a nice story. Almost gave up football because of the way that Eric Williams, the Cowboys tackle, treated him in college, but now he's back.
So Pete Stoyanovich on for a 48-yard field goal. Sends it up and through. So Stoyanovich connects from 48 yards, and the Dolphins go on top 3-0.
Back after this.
It's me, Loud Mary. Come to you live from Loud Mary's Car Corral. Come on down and join the family.
Tired of being interrupted by loud commercials while you're trying to watch television? Get a Magnavox with the exclusive Smart Sound feature.
With Smart Sound, commercials are never louder than the program.
Smart. Very smart.
That's for my ex. That's for my overbearing boss. That's for the condescending bank teller. That's for that lousy waitress and crummy coffee. And this is for you.
The Chevy Camaro's 200 horsepower 3800 V6. Therapeutic, isn't it? After a hard day, there's nothing like a good bedtime story. Introducing Sealy's most advanced Posturepedic ever for the back support you need. Now, the only foundation made from steel beams, not wood, is redesigned to be even stronger. Now, Sealy has a more sensitive sense and respond coil system. And its patented sensory arm senses and cushions your movement, then responds to your weight with increasing support. Correct support. No wonder we're America's bestseller. Posturepedic support, only from Sealy.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Chevrolet. The cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. Genuine Chevrolet. By McDonald's. Have you had your break today? By Northwestern Mutual Life. There are a lot of good reasons for choosing the quiet company. And by Magnavox. At Magnavox, we make technology people want. Magnavox. Smart. Very smart.
And there's Hugh Douglas, the rookie of the Jets, who just got his 7th sack of the season. One of the top sack men in the AFC.
Not a bad guy he's chasing there on the top either. Joe Klecko. I can remember some of our offensive linemen in Cincinnati scared to death of Joe Klecko. He was a man.
Stoyanovich set to kick it off after the Dolphins have taken a 3-0 lead. Carter and Moore, the deep men. Sailing toward Ronald Moore. Has a little lane. Moore bursts free and then is caught from behind at the 35-yard line. The Jets trying to get something going when we return to the Meadowlands. Stadium, that's the notepad of Gary Stevens, who is discussing play selection with Bernie Kosar on the Dolphins sideline. Don Shula throwing in a word of advice or so. And the Jets take over at their 34, trailing the Dolphins 3-0. Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth reunited at Giants Stadium. Adrian Morrell ducks to the outside, made a nice move. Adrian Morrell breaking free. There are penalty markers down as Morrell is out of bounds inside the 1. Stewart and Atkins chasing Morrell prevented the score, but there is a flag down, and you see the reaction of Rich Kotite. 65-yard scamper, but it'll come back.
Wow. And
Well,
Rich Kotite and the Jets just cannot catch a break.
The sun is shining, but there's a black cloud over this team. An interception should have been had on the last series. That would have prevented the 3 Dolphin points. And here is a 65-yard run wiped out.
Holding, offense number 80, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, still first down.
Wayne Crevette, who in the overtime loss to the Colts dropped what would have been a winning touchdown, and here nullifies a 65-yard run by Adrian Morrell with a holding penalty.
Crevette was the wide receiver at the top of the screen and working. It was an awfully clean corner over there, and as he slipped, wow. I mean, he's got the strongest hands in the world if he was able to take down the defensive back as he slipped. I don't know. That was close.
Tough call for the Jets.
Wow.
Brister scrambles and taken down from behind by Marco Coleman.
And Marco Coleman not having much problem at all with Everett McIver. You just have to wonder how much longer they can afford to leave McIver in there. It's happened play after play, game after game. They're not getting some of these defensive ends blocked.
And the first quarter ends. A frustrating first quarter for the Jets. Miami up 3-0. You're watching the NFL on NBC. 3-0. Remember the last series when the Dolphins had the ball? They tried the little shovel pass to Keith Byers, and the Jets were ready for it. Well, they talked a lot about that sort of play the last week or so because of this incident. Carolina last week, Sam Mills intercepting the Brister shovel pass and taking it in for the touchdown. One of the most embarrassing moments in Jets history and in Bubby Brister's career.
And the shovel pass is out of the playbook this week.
But they were ready for it on defense.
That's right. They had it well practiced, well rehearsed. Well, that's a tough one, especially in that situation. It was such a key situation in the ball game because the Jets had the lead, looked like they were going to go in comfortably at halftime, and the pre-half disasters for Rich Kotite's squad just continue. We talked a little bit about the fumbled punt return and that play a week ago. They just can't get in at the half unscathed.
3-0 Miami by all rights. It should be 7-0 Jets. They should have had an interception and a long run, but neither one is in the books. Brister's pass on target, but short of the first down to Charles Wilson. J.B. Brown immediately wrestles him down. It'll be 3rd down.
And you can tell already that the Dolphins don't have a lot of respect for the Jet receivers and any fear of them trying to go deep down the field. They're squeezing in a little bit more. Bubby Brister was talking about that as well, how defensive backs, he looks out there and all of a sudden, they're just squatting at 12, 14 yards. And That was part of what Charles Wilson was talking about, that you have to at least make the attempt to throw the football down the field. Otherwise, you can't complete the underneath stuff.
Out of the backfield, Morrell dodging one man, but a couple of yards short of first down territory at the 42, with Jeff Cross making the hit. And so the Jets will punt.
And it continues for the Jets. And defensively now you have to wonder how that squad is reacting to what has been going on now for quite some time with this Jet offense. You begin to get frustrated. You get guys that pass each other on the bench and make snide remarks, and offensively it gets tougher and tougher as the game goes on and you're not making plays.
Hansen boots it away toward O.J. McDuffie. Fields it at the 21. Nice move to get away from the first man. And twisting and turning his way to the 37 with a tackle is made by Eddie Mason. 3-0 Miami.
Under Rich Kotite of players, and arguably you could say that they lost their best wide receiver from a year ago, best running back, best offensive line, best pass rusher, best corner, and best safety off of this team a season ago. And as Mo Lewis was telling us, that all those guys were leaders. They were important to the football team from the standpoint that you could look those guys in the eyes, and it didn't matter what was happening on the offensive side of the football. Even if they were struggling, we still knew that we were going to be competitive and we were going to be playing hard.
Kotite continues to maintain that his young players will get better with experience. Meanwhile, they're suffering through a 1-6 season, worst record in the league. Bernie Parmalee bouncing to the outside. Twisted down at the 42. Meanwhile, let's get an update on the Cleveland-Jacksonville game from Greg Gumbel.
All right, Don, the Jacksonville Jaguars are rolling. The longest running streak of pass attempts by a quarterback without an interception comes to an end. Vinny Testaverde has one picked after 174 without one. Mickey Washington returns 48 yards for the touchdown. The Jaguars lead the Browns 13-0 in the second, Tom.
All right, Greg, and back here, the handoff to Bernie Parmalee. Breaks one tackle and has a first down as he's taken out of bounds by Joseph and Young. Well, that Jacksonville team, they're right in the race in the AFC Central. And what has happened to the Cleveland Browns? They lost to Buffalo on Monday night. They were run out of the stadium by the Lions. A bye week doesn't appear to improve things.
Aren't many people laughing at Tom Coughlin and his style now. Everybody's sort of making fun of the way he did things and so disciplined. They were calling it a college approach. But he has gotten the job done there in Jacksonville.
First down Miami, 47 of the Jets. Irving Spikes making his first appearance in the backfield. Gets the shovel pass from Kosar. And again, the Jets are ready. They were over that one like the million-man march.
And Hugh Douglas again making the play. And really, what a nice story for this young man. Coming in, he smelled it out right away, but his parents were divorced early on. He lived with his mom until she kicked him out of the house, and so Hugh Douglas called his dad, and here was this 8-year-old little boy walking down the street crying when his dad drove over to pick him up. And since that day, Hugh Sr., 285-pound disabled steelworker, has been dad, mom, best friend, a very close relationship with his father.
And Hugh, the NAIA All-American from Central State of Ohio, who won a national championship for that team. Is that a good catch? Diving. McDuff or Clark it is. And the conference. And it is a catch by Gary Clark. Jets don't like the call, but well, now they're bringing it back. Now they say no catch.
If he caught that ball, he has the greatest hands on God's green earth right there. It looked like he scooped it up. But generally, when you are reaching down and there's a little ball between you and the ground, even if you catch it cleanly, they're just not going to give you that one.
Hey, when you have almost 700 of them, well, you assume he's going to catch it.
Difficult to tell. He did snatch it up there pretty cleanly.
I thought he caught it.
But they're just not when it gets that close to the ground, they're just not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You almost have to have your hands and your arms completely underneath the ball, or they're going to assume that the ground helped you in some way to catch the football.
3rd and 15. The Dolphins have converted 1 of 3 third downs. 4 wide set. Kosar sacked. There's a marker down. The sack by Marvin Washington, but a late flag comes flying. That would be the 4th sack of the season for Washington. The Jets have been active and lead the NFL in sacks, but as you can see, the penalties continue to hurt.
Like an illegal use of hands against the Jets. And Marvin Washington, who has been struggling with a hamstring injury, made a nice play there, but apparently for naught.
That would be the 25th sack, tops in the NFL. But it will not stand, apparently.
Illegal hands to the face. Number 78 of the defense. 5 yards from the previous spot. First down.
Lou Benfatti with the hands to the face wipes out another Jet big play. What else can go wrong?
Second guy from the bottom of the screen, Benfatti, getting the hands up in the face mask, and that's the call, working against Tim Ruddy. And that is, as you said, Tom, they just can't get a break. Every time something goes right for the Jets, it goes wrong on the same play. But you do have to say that the Jets appear to be a little more competitive than what they have shown in the last couple of weeks.
Well, as Rich Kotite was saying, the defense is playing pretty well. He said the offense was the problem. The defenses looked pretty good here in the first half. Ball right astride the midfield stripe. First down, Miami. 11 minutes left until halftime. 3-0 Dolphins. Parmalee, hesitation move, and then a gain of 9 or 10 yards. Marvin Washington, Victor Green finally stopping. Marvin Jones, Victor Green, and you wonder how long the Jets can keep their enthusiasm with everything going wrong. I mean, it's only human nature after a while to say, man, what's the use?
It is difficult out there, and right now they're struggling to stop the run against a Dolphins team that really didn't run the ball very well at all. Only 28 yards and 18 carries last week. That's the 8th worst in Dolphin history, and they're going right through, though, this Jet defense.
Play action fake. Kosar down the field. Fryer out of bounds. Incomplete.
And I guarantee you Irving Fryer is going to have a tough time getting up from that one. He landed right on his backside in the air on this AstroTurf, and this may well be an injury very similar to what Dan Marino suffered a couple of weeks ago. Boy, those hurt, especially on that AstroTurf.
And while they tend to Fryer, we'll take a break. The NFL on NBC. On the Dolphins sideline, as Miami leads New York 3-0. And the Dolphins with an edge in total yards. Only 13 yards rushing for the Jets, who do not have a rushing touchdown all season. Parmalee should have enough for the first down across and inside the 40-yard line.
Boy, Robert Wilson is the lead back on that short yardage play. Just came in and plowed over Mo Lewis. That is an outstanding block. When you can take a guy like Mo Lewis and just drive him backwards. Woo! That was a big-time shot.
Wilson, 255 pounds in his 3rd season from Texas A&M. Irving Fryer, by the way, has returned to the field. He's okay. Kosar's pass complete to Parmalee. And Bernie's to the 35-yard line, hit by Mo Lewis and Wilbur Marshall.
You know, Bernie Kosar just drive you crazy. He'll sit back there and take that little 5-yard pass pattern and dink it off and dunk. And again, a very consistent ball game for Bernie, who struggled with hit a nerve in his elbow last week against the Saints and lost control of the football. Couldn't grip it quite as well, but he says he's feeling fine now, and this will probably be his last effort. Dan Marino, at least according to Dan Marino, will be back next week against Buffalo.
Bernie saying getting a chance to play extensively in the preseason and in a few games earlier this year helped him get up to speed, back to game speed at quarterback. He gives it to Parmalee, and Parmalee close to another first down. Tackled by Aaron Glenn.
And they are running it just right down the gut against the New York Jets, and you would have thought they would have been a little better now with Marvin Jones back in there and Mo Lewis back in his natural position. But this is now, for the Jet defense, beginning to look a little bit more like their game against the Buffalo Bills, in which Thurman Thomas went crazy running the football. And for Jim Beccarelli, the defensive coordinator, you've got to stop the run before you can hope to stop anything else.
Parmalee is averaging nearly 5 yards a carry. 10 carries, 49 yards. Kosar heaves it and broken up and nearly intercepted by Aaron Glenn. Fryer was the receiver, and Glenn broke on the football, nearly picked it off.
And for Aaron Glenn, he has to wonder when he is ever going to get an interception. He plays this one absolutely perfectly, working against Irving Fryer. 22 starts now for Aaron Glenn, yet to get an interception. The former #1 draft pick, great speed, a good solid player. Of course, the one burned by Dan Marino on that fake spike play last season that seemed to begin to unravel this entire Jet organization.
That's 2 possible interceptions dropped by the Jets as the play clock reaches 0 just at the snap. Not at all. Kosar's pass, though, off target. Terry Kirby, the intended receiver.
And Wilbur Marshall with nice coverage on the outside, just one-on-one with Terry Kirby all over the field. And Wilbur Marshall now has become the 4th linebacker for the Jets because of Marvin Jones coming back in. But there's a guy that rings on his finger and went to high school with Wilbur Marshall. He was a told the story before, but in the high school, he's on the JV basketball team in the 9th grade. Went over and took 2 basketballs, went up and dunked them both. And they said, "Welcome to the varsity, son."
Is that Astronaut High School?
That is Astronaut High School.
3rd and long from the gun. Pass complete to Mike Williams, a juggling reception, and he never gets untracked. Then Fadi stops him, and it'll be 4th down and another Stoyanovich field goal attempt.
Well, if nothing else, the Jets are getting a little tough once it's down inside their territory. But for Williams, if he catches this football, you have a chance to make a move. But if you're going to pull the circus act going down the field, it's a little bit difficult to try and get out of the way of the big defensive lineman.
44-yard attempt by Stoyanovich, who connected from 48 earlier. And it just does make it through. Stoyanovich 2 for 2, and Miami up 6-zip. Boomer Esiason with his son Gunnar watching the game from the press box at Giants Stadium. Still suffering the effects of a concussion as the ball rolls off the tee. And here's the play. Bruce Smith, on which the injury occurred.
And Tom, it was all set up because the officials didn't blow the whistle on the illegal motion penalty on the offensive lineman, a hit that should have never been taken by Boomer Esiason. Originally, I thought that Bruce Smith may have gotten fined on that play. It's an ugly kick.
Stoyanovich fell down as he booted it away. Carter takes it on the hop. And Dexter to the 26-yard line. Tackled by Bernie Parmalee after a 15-yard return. And a scuffle breaks out.
I did have a chance to talk to Boomer just before the ball game, and he said that he's hoping to play in the game next week, that he has one more series of tests that he has to go through, but he is certainly feeling much better now than he has been in the past. And there's Gunnar, who's one of the fun little boys around. Of course, going through, everyone knows his tale, and Boomer worked so diligently to make things go right for that young man, and we all hope and pray that that we can all find a little time to help with that cystic fibrosis cause.
First down, New York. An ominous note for the Jets defense. This is only the 11th play by New York, and Miami has run 29. It's a completion to Morrell for a gain of about 7 yards for the tackle made by Tim Bowens. Time of possession, nearly 16.5 minutes for Miami, only 6 for the Jets.
Take a look from ground level and give you some feel of what it's like to be a quarterback standing in the pocket with the bullets flying all around. But that's what so much of the game is now. You see Morrell just go down there and make the quick little outcut. It's really, it goes back to your days of playing in the schoolyard when you used to tell the guy, go down there and find a little hole in the defense, turn around, and I'll hit you with it.
That might be a look at what it's like, but it didn't feel like what it's like. You have to have your wife whack you with something hard if you want to get the feel of it. Corbett was the intended receiver. Brister threw it behind him.
And Bobby's still struggling with that thumb injury. His hand a little purple and swollen, and he said that the problem that he's had in gripping the football is that it comes out nose up and tail down, and it just seems to flutter. It was much more obvious against Carolina, and they are hoping they get a little offense going here this afternoon.
Timeout, New York. Miami, World Series coming up tonight on NBC, and of course Notre Dame coming off that big win over Southern Cal. College football, I think one of the best suggestions I've seen recently was that the first poll in college football ought to be taken mid-season, because if that happened this year, I think you make Ohio State #1 based on the strength of their schedule, who they have beaten. But the problem is they carry over teams from the preseason polls. If they don't get beat, they just stay up there, and it's pretty unfair. I think they ought to go in. Almost intercepted that time. The Dolphins dropped one for a change. Gene Atkins had it on the carom off Adrian Morrell, and the Jets will have to punt.
And the mood is starting to turn a little ugly here in New York, and the fans are now beginning to boo a little bit. There was a chant after the last incompletion by Bubby Brister for Glenn Foley, and it hasn't gotten quite as bad as what it did in the Raiders game when they actually started cheering for the "Let's go Raiders, let's go Raiders." But you can sense,
well.
Thank you. You can sense it's starting to happen here a little bit now.
Hanson's punt to O.J. McDuffie. And McDuffie ridden down at the 25-yard line. Nice tackle by Chad Cascadden after a 40-yard punt, -2 on the return. And there's Glenn Foley. You remember him because he won't let you forget it. From the Boston College upset of Notre Dame, one of the great games in college football history that we were privileged to broadcast. And he thought you said some unkind things about their chances. And speaking of that rivalry, Saturday 3:30 from the house that Rockne built, the BC Eagles against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame and Ron Paulus off that big upset of Southern Cal yesterday. That's BC and Notre Dame coming up 3:30 Saturday right after the Breeders' Cup here on NBC.
Yeah, that game cost Notre Dame the national championship right after that big win they had against FSU. Glenn Foley and company went in there, and it was dramatic.
Delayed handoff. Bernie Parmalee running lane, and they continue to rip off huge chunks on the ground. That one gains 11 before the tackle made by Bobby Houston.
And right now, this Miami offensive line just displacing the New York Jets. They're running right into the strength, and Marvin Jones looking a little lost on the play. He jumped over to the right-hand side expecting the cutback, and they ran right through his lane. You just don't expect that Jim Vecchiarelli, I mean, Tom, you got to go back to it, that every defensive coordinator that you talk to said we've got to be able to stop the run. Otherwise, they're just going to take it right down the field. They don't even have to do anything else.
Kozar pumps and then is ridden down, and the ball is loose but blown dead. He was in the grass back at the 31-yard line. Eric Howard will get credit for that sack.
And Eric Howard with the safety from a week ago, working there against Ron Heller, who has been sitting out of practice because of a knee injury. And that time Eric Howard coming through with the sack. And this Jets team, very good. They've been getting good pressure, which is kind of surprising that teams have been able to throw the football the way that they have against them, considering that they lead the league in sacks.
That's 26 for them now, and you saw the contrast. Miami has not gotten after the pass. Bernie Parmalee. Parmalee, late flag down. Parmalee, the native of Jersey City, New Jersey, who played collegiately at Ball State University, coming off his best season in '94 and having a good first half here. Face mask against New York.
5-yard face mask on the defense, number 78. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Well, Lou Benfati's been up around the face mask all day today. He got a hands to the face a little bit earlier. Now it grabs a face mask, and I guess that's one way to stop the run. This Dolphin offense has been struggling as well. This is a defense that teams have been able to run against and move the ball up and down the field pretty much at will. But for the New York Jets, even the penalties working against them.
And a timeout taken here by Miami. 6-0 with less than 5 minutes remaining, first half.
Well, those Colts really playing good football right now, knocking off San Francisco and knocking their quarterback out for about 4 weeks.
Here's Parmalee. The Jets, of course, lost in overtime here to the Indianapolis Colts, as the Colts, expected to be a factor and much improved this season, sputtered at the start of the season, but now starting to play as everyone had expected, unexpectedly, with Jim Harbaugh at quarterback. They brought in Craig Erickson to be the man, and it's been Harbaugh instead.
Big down now for this Jet defense. They need to get off the field. If they can keep the Dolphins to just 6 points here as the first half runs down, gives them a chance to stay in the game. A little emotion going in at halftime.
Parmalee stopped short right at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 4th down. Benfati again right in the middle of things for the Jets.
And there you go. You have a little bit of something to hang your hat on. Now they'll probably go walk by the offensive guys on the bench and say, boys, you want to wake up over there and get a little something going? Because as of right now, they haven't done anything offensively. And you just have to wonder, because Rich Kotite has said that the possibility of playing Glenn Foley exists. How much longer he stays with Bobby?
Kid takes the low snap and booms one high toward Dexter Carter. This is always an adventure. He caught it, held on, and got 3 or 4 yards on the return. Oilers and Bears going at it in Chicago. Let's go across the Hudson. Greg with an update.
All right, Tom, pretty lethal combination for Chicago. Eric Kramer to Curtis Conway. This one will cover 76 yards by the time it's all done. Number 15 in the touchdown pass department for Kramer this year. Rashaan Salam has added a touchdown as well. The Bears all over Houston, 22-0 in the second, Tom.
All right, Greg, and here the Jets defense continues to play pretty well. 6-0 the score. Dolphins on top. Bubby Brister trying to get something going. He has hit 5 of 9 passes. That last punt covering 42 yards, with Carter credited for a 4-yard return, and the ball spotted at the 19 of New York.
And it is time for the Jets. It is time for them to get this offense going.
2 tight ends, Mitchell and Brady. Corbett in motion. Brister swings it high to Morrell and does manage to get a couple of yards, but when the pass was high, it broke up his rhythm, and the play didn't get much after that.
You know, I'm beginning to believe what Charles Wilson says. You sit there as a wide receiver and you want to try and come off the ball and push those guys back down the field, but you can watch the defensive backs from the Dolphins. They're kind of like, yeah, right. You know, I mean, they haven't run by anybody all season. Why are you going to do it now? And that gap's starting to close, and you want to throw that underneath stuff. But all those holes keep getting smaller and smaller when you play against the Jets, because they don't fear anything deep.
Hand off to Morrell. Hit at the line of scrimmage and down there by Chuck Klingbeil. The running game continues to be just about non-existent, except for the long jaunt called back.
Well, they tried to come right back to the play that Morrell scored on, or almost scored on, earlier in the game, but for the penalty by Wayne Corbett. But a few adjustments now on the outside. Chuck Klingbeil coming in to make the play.
So the dime defense on for the Dolphins. Only 8.5 minutes of possession in the first half for New York.
And that's what kills you as a defensive squad, when you just have to stay on the field and your offense keeps going 3 and out.
Last play before the 2-minute warning. Brister pumps, delivers, nearly picked off. J.B. Brown nearly had one as Brister sent it toward Charles Wilson, and the Jets hear the boos as we take the 2-minute warning. Season. Meanwhile, for the Jets, it's interesting that only 2 players really have touched the ball, Morrell and Wilson, for the Jets in the first half.
It was not going well out there for Bubby Brister, and he's the backup quarterback. Of course, came over from Philadelphia with Rich Kotite, and they want to give him every opportunity. But at the same time, you have to find out about this football team. Boomer Esiason now seemingly much more valuable than perhaps even what Jet fans thought originally. But they have to find out, do they have to make long-term plans for the quarterback position? And while Boomer's hurt, I guess really no reason not to find out about Glenn Foley. I mean, it's not like you're going to blow your playoff chances.
It makes you wonder what their opinion of Foley is and why they haven't played him.
He's gotten a lot of snaps in practice the last couple of weeks, and he feels like he's ready to go, just given the chance.
Punt upcoming from Hansen. McDuffie drifts back to his own 27, and he has a lane. Nice play made. Great open field tackle there by Chad Cascadden. Second one he's had here in the first half. 48-yard punt, 7 yards on the return.
48 yards on the punt.
Don't forget the second game of the doubleheader coming up right at the conclusion of this game. Most of you will see Kansas City and Denver. And of course, Monday night, John Elway led the Broncos to that 27-0 thrashing of the Oakland Raiders. Elway with this touchdown pass to Anthony Miller. And Denver taking on division rival Kansas City. Some of you will see the Colts and the Raiders. Game 2 of our doubleheader coming up next here on NBC.
And Tom, what a difference Mike Shanahan has made coming back now with the Broncos, of course, leaving San Francisco. And I think that's a big factor in the offensive fall off of the 49ers as well.
1:47 left till halftime. Kosar from the gun. Rifles it. Complete to McDuffie. Gain of 9. Carl Greenwood, the nickelback, makes the tackle.
And here's where Bernie Kosar can be dangerous. He's so good in this 2-minute offense. He gets up there, reads the defense as well, very much under control. They ran a lot of this with him in Cleveland.
Steps up and misses Clark across the middle.
Victor Green's having a nice game for the Jets. He's back there, just missed the interception earlier in the ball game. And anytime you get a safety working against a guy like Gary Clark with so much experience in the league, but he's right there. He's in position to make the play and made Bernie throw that one wide.
Kind of an ugly looking throw by Bernie, but we're used to that, aren't we?
Bernie can throw some memorable passes.
3rd and 1. They converted 2 of 6 on 3rd down. Hand off to Kirby with a convoy of blockers. Kirby has the first down, blasts his way to the 45-yard line. Douglas and Scott combined to get him down, but as we approach the 1-minute mark, the Dolphins have a first down, and they call their second timeout.
Almost unfair from a defensive back standpoint to watch these 2 guards come pulling out and leading the way. You've got 6 defensive backs in the game, and you can see Carl Greenwood just getting mauled as those linemen came around to get him.
Well, stay with us at intermission for the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime report. Greg Gumbel, Mike Ditka, Joe Gibbs, Joe Montana with all the scores and highlights, plus a preview of the second half of the doubleheader, looking back at that Monday night battle between Kansas City and Denver earlier. All coming your way at halftime here on NBC.
But I still think this is a dangerous point in the game for the Miami Dolphins. They're up just 6-0, playing against a team that has very little hope whatsoever, has been struggling offensively. But you let them go in at halftime in the ball game, get a chance to get a little bit emotionally up. And don't forget, the Dolphins have lost 2 games in a row. A big stretch of downs now for Rich Kotite's squad.
I don't imagine that Don Shula is that pleased with his team either. Do you think in this first half?
No, offensively they haven't been nearly as good even as what they were a week ago.
It's complete to Kirby. Wrestled down at the 42-yard line by Victor Green.
Under a minute to go now, and Bernie finding a way to pick apart underneath. He has plenty of time remaining to get this one in the end zone.
3 wide receivers to the bottom of your screen, as you see. Instead dumps it off to Kirby. Using his blockers, Kirby has a first down as he dives to the 30. Todd Scott covers him there. So already in field goal range for Stoyanovich, who is hit from 48 yards. Kozar's pass behind Mike Williams and incomplete, stopping the clock with 31 seconds left. Bernie not happy with the route that Williams ran.
I think he was expecting some kind of a hitch or a quick out. I don't know if that was a kill the clock play or not. I think he just wanted to pick up 4 or 5 yards, and Mike Williams going the other way.
In this first half, Miami has run 40 plays to 16 for the Jets, yet the score still only 6-0. .31 ticks remaining. Kosar with a second down. Under pressure, completes it to Fryer, and Irving Fryer struggles to the 20-yard line. Scott and Glenn combined for the hit. Miami does have 1 timeout left.
And they're just sort of casually letting this clock run and come down.
Flag down. McDuffie's out of bounds at the 15-yard line with 7 seconds left. Could be a hold against Miami. That's the call.
Holding. Offense number 62. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 3rd down.
Chris Gray with a hold.
The right-hand side of your screen, number 62. That was Eric Howard getting inside in the hook and the hold, and now makes this field goal much more difficult for Pete Stoyanovich.
48 yards. He's 2 for 2 today. Officially 49 on the first one and 44. Just 7 seconds left till halftime. Low snap. Kick up and just made it. Just cleared the crossbar. And a good job on the hold by the punter John Kidd, who took the low snap, got it correctly down, and Stoyanovich barely makes it from 48 yards.
And for Pete Stoyanovich,
Second.
2 seconds left on the game clock, so they will have to kick it off. Poor snap on the play. John Kidd with the nice hold. But for Pete Stoyanovich, this is a bit of a reprieve after the struggles that he had against the Indianapolis Colts, when a couple of times he had a chance to win that football game. But after that bad snap, to get that much leg on it, that's a heck of a kick.
And he is giving it a little English to get it there, and just did. 9-0 Miami as they put 2 seconds back on the clock.
Well, that's a big kick there for Stoyanovich, because it means the Dolphins go in with a 9-point lead. And especially when you're talking about playing against a team and an offense like the Jets, they've only had 1 rushing touchdown since December 10th of last year, and just 2 touchdowns in their last 4 games. So they're not too much of a threat to make any sort of a major comeback in the second half. Go trying to lean the opposite way of Stoyanovich. To no avail.
That sort of sums up the first half, that look, because everything that could go wrong for the Jets just about has. They had some big plays nullified by penalty, had a couple of would-be interceptions dropped, and their woes continue. Dexter Carter awaits the kick. 8 different Miami receivers have caught the ball from Bernie Kosar. He's spreading it around, while the opposite has been true of the Jets offense. Just 2 men have touched the ball for New York. And that play will bring the first half to a close. Fred Baxter totes it out of bounds. Don't forget to stay tuned now for scores and highlights. Let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York for the NFL on NBC halftime report with Miami up 9-0.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL on NBC halftime report. Brought to you by Domino's Pizza. When it's gotta be great and it's gotta be now, it's gotta be Domino's.
Welcome, everyone, to our studio in New York. Cast of characters, you bet. Joe Gibbs, Mike Ditka, Joe Montana. I'm Greg Gumbel. Let's run down scores and highlights for you as we have them, beginning with the game at Soldier Field in Chicago. It's been all Chicago Bears early on. The Houston Oilers have just scored a touchdown, but the Oilers are trailing 25-6. Mike Singletary back for a reunion of the '85 Super Bowl champion Bears. Eric Kramer looks long. Oh, who better to look for than Curtis Conway? Good catch, fine run, 76-yard touchdown, 13-0 Chicago at this point. That was still the score in the first when Houston, continuing to struggle on offense. Chris Chandler sacked in the end zone by Al Fontenot. That's 2 points for the Bears and a 15-0 lead. And Rashaan Salam over the top for a 1-yard touchdown. The Bears continue to build. They lead it by a score of 25-6. Look at Eric Kramer's first half. 11 of 19, 206 yards, a touchdown pass, and an interception. And the Bears looking pretty good against an Oiler team that's inept, or are the Bears still looking good anyway?
The Bears are looking good, and I think they're looking good on the defensive side of the ball, which is what worried Dave. And I don't care the fact that they're playing the Oilers. The Oilers are a pretty good offense. They've been able to score some points with Chandler at quarterback. The Bears are doing a great job. They're doing everything they have to do. If they play at this pace, they're going to be tough down the line.
All right, Mike, the Oilers were successful with a 2-point conversion attempt. The Bears' lead is now 25-8. In St. Louis, the Rams and the 49ers. 49ers lose Steve Young. On comes Elvis Gerbach. Gerbach, 6 of 8 for 61 yards and 2 touchdown passes as the 49ers lead the Rams 24-3. Defense has come up big for the 49ers, too. Ken Norton returned an interception for a touchdown, 21 yards. The New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins, the game that you're watching, 3 field goals by Pete Stoyanovich has the Dolphins up 9-0 at halftime. How about these Dolphins in the backup quarterback situation, Joe?
Well, Greg, I think all over the league today we got backup quarterbacks playing. All over the league. Here's 2 of them. And I think you got to say this about the Dolphins. I think they've done a good job. Bernie Kosar is a quality backup guy. In this case, I think he's going to get the job done. They won't lose because of him. And I think Bubby and the Jets, hey, they got to get something going on offense. 50 yards total passing with Brister.
Yeah, the Jets looking any better at all today, Mike?
Well, the Jets, they've complicated their problem. I mean, they got Brister playing quarterback. You know, Boomer may be done for the year. They got to go to Foley. He's next. They lost the best guy when they lost Jeff Blake. I mean, Jeff Blake is one outstanding quarterback in this league. They had him. They didn't use him. They didn't know what they had.
Yeah, the Jets have managed just 67 yards of total offense in the first half, 9-0 Miami. In Tampa, the Bucs hosting the Falcons. That is a 14-14 tie at halftime. 2 touchdown passes for Jeff George of Atlanta in that game. At Cleveland, look what the Jacksonville Jaguars are doing to the Cleveland Browns. It is 20-6 as they approach halftime in Cleveland. Offensive coordinator for the Jaguars, Kevin Gilbride, hoping for more from his squad. Mark Brunell avoids the pressure here, rolls left, lifts it up for Cedric Tillman. Touchdown. Jacksonville leads 7-0. Vinny Testaverde looks for wide receiver Rico Smith, but Mickey Washington steps in front and returns down the sideline, 48 yards for a touchdown. The point after was no good. Jaguars were up 13-0. Only the second interception by Testaverde this season. 2 pass interference calls set up Vaughn Dunbar for a 1-yard touchdown run. And the Jacksonville Jaguars in control over the Browns by a score of 20-6. Not looking at all like an expansion team today, are they? What's up with Vinny?
There they are again. They're racing their ugly.
Next.
So spot the ball in Dolphin territory at the Miami 36. First down for the Jets. Brister, first down pass. Caught to the 25-yard line by Charles Wilson. J.B. Brown, the tackle. Wilson, the only receiver to have caught a pass for the Jets today.
And Charles Wilson had 3 touchdown passes in the first 3 weeks and none since, just working one-on-one. And the Dolphins, not really a big man-to-man coverage team, but in talking with some of the players and coaches, they just have so little respect for the outside speed and the outside receivers, they think they can get away with the man-to-man coverage against this team.
Wilson, 4 receptions, 43 yards. First down, New York. play action. Brister again will put it up on first down. Baxter catches this one, and he's to the 17-yard line, stopped by Brian Cox. Gain of about 8 yards. And the Jets starting the second half with a little flair after the big return by Carter.
And the Miami Dolphins starting very flat. And while we're ripping and shredding a little bit ourselves, let's put in a plug for the Dolphins, who have lost 2 in a row. Here's the team that's supposed to be the dominant team in the AFC. And for Don Shula, his team just has not looked the same over the past couple of weeks.
Morrell tried to reverse his field, got only to the 15. Hit by Troy Vincent. Close to a first down, though. They'll spot it enough for the New York first.
Finally, a little bit working now for Rich Kotite. Even the crowd borderline starting to cheer for the Jets, which has definitely been...
they were a little undecided
earlier. They definitely couldn't decide which way they were going to go in this one.
Brister looking over the Miami defense. Morrell bounced off one man, gets only a couple of yards, stacked up by Brian Cox and Marco Coleman.
And Brian Cox has talked about this defense and all the expectations, and they're supposed to be in the Super Bowl, and he said, we just have to get back to having fun again. He said, we've all been walking around and carrying this burden and all the pressure that's supposed to be on this team. He says, it's time to just play defense, go hit somebody again. They have not been sharp. I mean, this just the Dolphins, the first 4 weeks of the season, they just look like what everybody expected from them. But the last 2 weeks and then here today against the Jets, this hasn't been the same team.
2 tight end formation. Brister for the end zone. Corbett, touchdown.
There it is, the 11th touchdown pass against this Miami Dolphins defense in the last 4 games. J.B. Brown beaten again there.
And for Corbett, the 4th touchdown reception of his rookie season. Lowry for the extra point. Nick is perfect in 11 prior attempts. And this one, too, is good. Look like a new Jets team. They score on their opening possession of the second half to draw within 2. Dexter Carter had the big kickoff return over 50 yards, number 35, and then Wayne Corbett with his first reception of the game goes for the touchdown as the Jets take 5 plays to go 36 yards and pull within 2 points. O.J. McDuffie takes the kickoff, and he nearly broke it. He's ridden down at the 27-yard line. Tackle made by Ronald Moore
back to
after
the
a
touchdown
23-yard return.
Excuse me, Tom. Back to the touchdown. Wayne Corbett working man-to-man coverage against J.B. Brown, just a little flatten up, and Bubby, nice job getting that thing in over the top. And there was plenty of motion all the way around. Rich Kotite excited to see his team score just their 3rd touchdown in the last 4.5 games. And for Bubby Brister, he's trying to get this crowd back on his side.
Bernie Parmalee on first down for the Dolphins. Crosses the 30-yard line, then is slapped down by Mo Lewis and Victor Green.
Very important drive in the ball game now, really on both sides. The Miami Dolphins haven't been able to get anything going offensively, really even threaten the end zone. And for the Jets, if they can get off the field now that the offense has a little momentum, if you could go 3 and out here and go back and sit on the bench, who knows what might happen with this Jet offense.
So the pressure shifts to Bernie Kosar. The Dolphins held to only 3 field goals in the first half despite dominating time of possession. Parmalee trapped in the backfield. Penetration by Matt Brock to make the stop, and then Marvin Washington for the kill.
Hey, who are these guys that came out in the second half? Now Marvin Washington and Matt Brock who came over from the Green Bay Packers this year, teaming up on a play in the backfield. And sometimes if the other side of the ball starts to make plays, all of a sudden your side gets a little emotional lift. Now the crowd's in it. Now it's like a football game.
And it's 3rd and 10 for the Dolphins. 4 wide receivers on. Miami has converted 3 of 7 third downs today. Pressure. Kosar got away. But the pass is picked off. Intercepted by Mo Lewis off the hand of Terry Kirby. The 2nd interception of the season for Lewis. And the other one went for a touchdown. This one big, deep in Miami territory.
And the best thing that happened was that Marvin Washington missed Bernie Kosar. It allowed Bernie to scramble out, and then Mo Lewis with a sensational one-handed interception.
Ooh.
And my goodness, has the momentum of this game changed in a hurry.
Interesting that the breaks have turned around completely. Like you said, fortunate that Kosar got away.
What an athletic play there by Mo Lewis to come up with that one.
Mo Lewis with an acrobatic interception.
Of course, had the touchdown a week ago on the interception.
On the reverse, Crevette gets only a couple of yards. Troy Vincent smelled out that gadget play. And there's Mo Lewis as his young son, Morris the 4th, I believe it is, who was born just a few weeks ago. It's Morris Clyde Lewis the 4th. Little Mo, they call him. Actually, Mo, until college, was called Little Morris, but the defensive line coach at Georgia couldn't say Morris with a chaw in his mouth, so it was just Mo.
And he says, boy, does it feel good to get home and see my son after all the problems that we've had at the office lately. Nice to just go home and get away from it all.
Brisker chased and sacked. Tim Bowen's the man that made the Miami sack, his 2nd of the season.
Sometimes Bubby's scrambling ability helps, and sometimes it hurts. He was trying to move around in the pocket and just ran right into Tim Bowens. And when you talk to the defensive players on the Miami Dolphins, they say without question the guy with the most talent up there is Tim Bowens. And some people have questioned Tim Bowens and his work ethic, but his coach, Mean Joe Green, says that I'm telling you in practice, I think he just doesn't want to show up his teammates. When he gets out there on the field, he is now considered one of the top tackles in the game.
A pressure from Brian Cox. He knocked the ball loose. Brister picked it up on the hop and gets back to the line of scrimmage. Brian Cox made that play.
And now Brian Cox starting to get a little emotional out there. Brian Cox, when they get in the nickel pass rush, he is a designated rusher and really just way too quick for James Brown on that play. Came with the inside move, and for the Jets offensively, after the big turnover by Mo Lewis, they managed to just lose 6 yards.
And now on 4th down, Nick Lowry is on to attempt a field goal. It will be about 49 yards. He hit a 50-yarder earlier this season, the 21st 50-yarder of his career. On its way. Good. Nick Lowry has given the Jets their first lead of the game. Officially 50 yards on the field goal. Rich Kotite and the Jets bounce on top. The NFL on NBC. Jets. New York takes a 10-9 lead on Miami, and if the Dolphins thought they could mail this one in, they're in for a little surprise here in the second half. Lowry's kickoff will sail into the end zone. Silvestri's kickoff, excuse me. Silvestri buries it deep in the end zone, and McDuffie on the touchback.
And Nick Lowry with one of those balls that looked like it was going to start left, and you start thinking, oh no, it's going to hook out of there, and ended up being a screwball going back the other way. And for Nick Lowry to give this Jets team a lead, he is a weapon, and he has not fallen off whatsoever in his career. Look at the reaction. Look at the guys.
Yeah, they haven't had much to smile about. And for Lowry, 22 field goals in his career, 50 yards or more.
And now, how good are the Miami Dolphins after losing 2 in a row and now down to the Jets?
Short completion. Parmalee surrounded by Jets and taken down. They gain about 4. Houston and Jones first to arrive on the scene.
And Tom, I think it's a legitimate question about the Dolphins. In the ball games that they've played, the only team that they've played with a winning record was the Indianapolis Colts, and they lost to the Colts in overtime. And of course, Dan Marino on the sideline certainly has a lot to do with it. He is the most valuable player on this football team. But Bernie Kosar, the highest paid backup in the league, and he's supposed to be able to get this one done.
Remember last week he passed for 353 yards, but they lost to the Saints, who had been winless prior to that. Parmalee, late flag down. Tackle made by Marvin Jones. Boy, Jones' return has made a big difference for the Jets defense. Not only his play, but enabling Lewis to move to his preferred outside spot.
There's no infraction on the play. No infraction on the play.
Could have fooled me. Soft flag, they just pick it up. Don Shula has to be maybe having some second thoughts about his team too. In fact, you asked him that yesterday, if his confidence in this team were shaken by the 2 losses and a near loss at Cincinnati before that. He said they just needed to get back to execution and aggressive football. 3rd and 4. Kirby has first down yardage, it would appear, just across the 30-yard line. Knocked out by Aaron Glenn.
And Aaron Glenn had a chance to make this play and stop it short of the first down. He just did not come up with it. He's got Kirby right in his sights coming out here and just missed the tackle. That was a chance for the Jets defensively to get off the field. If Glenn had made that stop, it would have been Jet football.
Instead, it's a Miami first down with 6.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, and the Jets suddenly up 10-9. Play action. Kosar. Short across the middle to Parmalee again. A completion they had used often today. Gets about 5 yards. Mo Lewis the tackle.
And right now, the Miami Dolphins falling into the same trap that the Jets have offensively. They are going shorter with this passing game. Eventually, they've got to send Irving Fryer streaking down the field, or at least try and stretch the defense. But now when you're down 10-9, you're a little bit less inclined to take some of those risks and throw it down the field, and you want to stay conservative.
Parmalee can't turn the corner. Bobby Houston grabs him by the pads and slings him down.
And there's the emotion that we haven't seen out of the Jets, and part of it has to do with the fact that the fans haven't really been behind them. But this is a football team, and this is a defensive team that has some talent over there. There are really no excuses for them not to play well, and they're going to have to carry the Jets while they try and get their offensive problems worked out.
Look at the disparity between the first and second halves.
Big opportunity now for the Jets, 3rd and medium.
Did the Jets change uniforms with the Cowboys at halftime or what? Kosar, plenty of protection, and a pass to McDuffie. It'll be close to the first down. Victor Green and Carl Greenwood wrapped McDuffie up very close. And close enough they'll measure.
And Tom, they gave the Jets a pretty good spot there. It looked like he had rolled forward a bit, but they moved the ball back, and that is very close.
Officials timeout for measurement.
Boy, would this be a tough call for Don Shula. Down 10-9 in this game. If you come up an inch or so short on this one.
Well, that looks like what the situation will be. About 6 inches short.
And I think you have to punt the football.
And that is what Don Shula says as John Kidd trots onto the field.
Wow. Has this thing turned around in a hurry.
Well, you had all your weapons ready to open up all guns blazing on the Jets, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was embarrassing. You sit there and you watch the game and you try and be a little enthusiastic and have some fun, but it was boring. And now all of a sudden Rich Kotite, somehow, some way, I don't know what he said to his troops at halftime, but it started right off the bat with that kick return by Dexter Carter.
Momentary stoppage here. I don't know what the mix-up might be. New life for Bubby Brister.
Please reset the clock to 4:50, please. 4:50.
That's a difference of 4 seconds. They'll put it at 4:50.
Tom, I know there's a lot of time left in this ball game, but this would be a monumental upset and a severe blow to the Miami Dolphins and their hopes. Don Shula, we talked about it a little bit last night. He knows the importance of home field advantage, but the way the Dolphins are playing right now, you have to think more about playoffs than home field advantage.
Kids punt. Dexter Carter says get away from it, and it will go out of bounds. Not a good punt. They'll spot it at the 25-yard line. Only a 35-yard punt. Here today on the NFL on NBC, we reported the league will review the incident in the Monday night game when Dave Wyman leveled Jeff Hostetler with that vicious forearm. And although many players and coaches would like to see the return of instant replay, the league is unlikely to reinstate it, according to Will McDonald's poll of team officials. And the NFL will review the Cowboys salary cap in the wake of Deion Sanders signing and the structure of his contract. The Cowboys may well be over the NFL salary cap. Those are the headlines for the NFL on NBC. Another headline is Dan Marino watches in frustration as the Dolphins have lost the lead to the Jets of all people. Brister pumping and setting up the screen. Oh, nearly picked off. Baxter was the intended receiver. Behind him, off his hands, and Dwight Hollier, number 50, nearly had a gift.
Bubby. Oh, there are two guys out there. Dolphins had two guys on either side of Brad Baxter, and apparently the play just wasn't exactly what they had set up, but he flipped around, he saw them. They're lucky.
That was hard. The blockers looked like they were on the other side. I don't know. That was an ill-conceived play from the outset. Morrell, nowhere to go. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd and 10. Tim Bowens from Ole Miss makes the tackle. And guess who's in the middle of that one? Oh, Brian Cox, maybe. Matt O'Dwyer squaring off with Brian.
I like the story that Brian Cox was telling us yesterday. Of course, he's just been nominated, just been named the Dolphins Man of the Year, all his community work, and he goes into the schools every single Tuesday on his off day. He visits 2 different schools, and we asked him why, and of course he said he wanted to be with the kids and all the other stuff, but he said, I had 4 straight games where I had 15-yard personal foul penalties against me. And at my daughter's school, all the kids kept coming up to her and saying, is your dad crazy? What's the matter with your dad? And he said, I've got to go back in. I've got to show him I'm just a normal guy.
3rd and 10. Brister. That one nearly picked off. Somehow it finds Johnny Mitchell, who fumbles the ball. Picked up by Gene Atkins of the Dolphins. Jets turnover by Mitchell gives it to Miami. First catch by a Jet tight end today is disastrous as Mitchell fumbles the football, and Brister and company have turned it over to the Dolphins. Turnovers. The latest man to wear the goat horns is Johnny Mitchell, who fumbled Bubby Brister's pass.
And Bubby going up to him on the sideline, but this one really kills the Jets. They had so much momentum. A big play here, going to move out around the midfield stripe, and Michael Stewart comes up and strips the football from behind. But boy, for the Jets, that really takes a lot of wind out of your sails, and Johnny Mitchell has missed 4 games this season, and injuries really have been the story of his career. Big play for the Dolphins.
Parmalee on the sweep. Got a couple of blocks and made a good gain out of it. Taken out of bounds at the 27-yard line by Todd Scott.
And you can just see this Jet defense that was so emotional in the last couple of series and playing so well. Now just a little bit flat and deflated. Once again, their offense has let them down, and they come out and let the Dolphins rip off a big play. But now's the time in the ball game. They're still right there. It's 10-9, and defensively, you just have to suck it up and make some plays.
Backup center Burt Widener pulling and leading the blocking on that sweep by Parmalee. They try the other side. And Parmalee breaking free. Bernie Parmalee fighting his way toward the end zone, made it to the 2-yard line. Scott and Glenn finally changed his momentum. Poor tackling by the Jets. It's a 25-yard run by Parmalee. And Mitchell's fumble set it up.
And Bernie Parmalee, who led this team in rushing a year ago, now getting the chance once again because of the fumbles last week by Terry Kirby and taking full advantage of it. They were excited about Parmalee at the beginning of the season, but he had trouble fumbling the football. It's certainly making up for it here this afternoon.
He's over 100 yards, 20 carries, 104 yards for Parmalee. Here's Kirby diving for a touchdown.
Wow, what a turn of events in this ball game. The Jets comfortably in front, doing things that they wanted. Terry Kirby up over the top as you sort of have the competition now between those two guys in the backfield. But amazing how quickly this football game has turned first in favor of the Jets, now back in favor of the Dolphins.
Stoyanovich for the point after.
Thought they might go for 2 here.
Instead, they'll let Stoyanovich kick it, and he connects. So the Dolphins take advantage of the Mitchell fumble for Kirby's touchdown. It's 16-10. Leading to the Dolphin touchdown, and it's 16-10. And they lead a dubious honor, the NFL, in giveaways. That's 25 now. It's actually their 3rd fumble of the day, the first one they have lost. But 25 giveaways, 25 turnovers on the season.
And Johnny Mitchell sort of motivated Carolina a week ago with his comments before the game in the paper saying, you want me to tell you something that'll make the front page? We're going to win this game, and you can write that down. Carolina used it for motivation, and Johnny Mitchell said after the game, I'm not talking to the media anymore. You guys twist everything I say.
Mitchell, of course, had his differences with Boomer Esiason last season, and then they decided to become roommates to get better understanding of each other and each other's approach to the game. Ironed out their differences.
But Tom, if you're going to be man enough to say something and make a statement like that, then back it up and take it upon yourself to be responsible for it.
Carter from the 7. Again trying to get the long return and has a good start on it. Carter shoved out of bounds after another good return by Lewis Oliver, 31 yards. We'll hope you'll join us. We'll go over to Long Island, not too far from here, for the Breeders' Cup. Breeders' Cup 12 coming your way next Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Cigar trying for the first undefeated season by a major thoroughbred since Spectacular Bid. And if he wins his 12th straight, the Breeders' Cup Classic, he will go into the annals of the all-time racing greats. But he'll have a challenge. Peaks and valleys coming off a win at the Meadowlands Cup here. The 3-year-old has never been worse than 3rd in his career. And Halling from Europe has won 8 in a row. So Cigar will not have an easy time. But the Breeders' Cup, 11:30 a.m. next Saturday. Adrian Morrell on the pass from Brister, using his blocking effectively, crosses midfield to the 47 of the Dolphins, where he's bumped out by Troy Vincent.
Yeah, I like Adrian Morrell. I think he's a competitor. He gets his hands on the football and he makes something a little bit more out of it than what you would expect. After making this catch here, gets away from Cox, makes another guy miss. He's just a tough guy. Grew up in Hawaii and in Italy. His father in the military. Once had 350 yards rushing in a game in Hawaii, and obviously they weren't quite up to his talents, but he played against Siapeli Malamala, his teammate and tackle on this Jet team.
First down New York in Miami territory. Brister's pass behind Baxter and off his pads, incomplete. Baxter was open in the flat. Michael Stewart was racing to recover, but it could have been a nice gain for the Jets, but the pass off target.
And you just don't know how much of a factor that thumb is for Bubby Brister. Still swollen, still sore, and the accuracy on occasion today just not there. That's a ball that if you get that out in front of Baxter, he has a chance to do something with it, maybe set up a second down and short.
And as we talked a couple of days ago, Bubby Brister throws the ball with his index finger right on the point, which puts even more pressure on that swollen right thumb. Morrell dancing, breaks to the outside. Adrian Morrell lowers his head and pounds close to the first down, carrying J.B. Brown with him. Spirited run by Morrell.
And the other thing that Adrian Morrell does is that he keeps teams out of man-to-man coverage against the Jets, because there really aren't many linebackers in this league that can match up in one-on-one coverage against him. So he impacts both phases of your game. Obviously, you see the talent running the football, but also as a pass receiver and dictating to the defense exactly what they can play against the Jets.
3rd and 1. The Jets are 0 for 6 on third down conversions. Final 30 seconds of the third quarter. Quick handoff to Brad Baxter, and he has the first down to the 35 of Miami.
Brad Baxter, just an absolute stud blocking. He is the lead back on most occasions. But for Brad Baxter, he makes his living, especially in some of those blitz pickups. I've seen him throughout the course of the season. Those linebackers come in and blitz or a corner blitz, and he just drills those guys.
Jets threatening as we come to the end of the third quarter. It's Miami 16, New York 10. Back after these messages from your local station. And sets up a 2nd and 1. And Baxter has the New York first down. 27-yard line of Miami. Tim Bowen's another tackle.
And right now the Jets doing it on the ground, and that has not been their strong suit. They rank 29th in the National Football League in running the football, but for Rich Kotite, this is the sort of power game that I think he always envisioned when he came here and made the decision to draft Kyle Brady and go with some bigger guys in the backfield. He just wants to eventually get to the point with this Jet team where they can run the football and play some power football.
This is the team that does not have a rushing touchdown all season. That's right. No rushing touchdowns in 7 games. Brister. Corbett had it knocked away. Good defense. Gene Atkins, the free safety.
And Gene Atkins giving Wayne Corbett a shot at the end of that play, and that was pretty close to a penalty. Corbett coming on the crossing route. Just beautifully timed out that time by Gene Atkins to come in there and strip the football. And a little scuffle ensued afterwards. Gene Atkins, one of those tough guys. Even his daughter won't talk to him on game day. Says he puts on that ugly face, and I don't want him to get anywhere close to him.
He's the former Rattler in his 9th season from Florida A&M. 2nd and 10. Brister has Corbett wide open, and Wayne Corbett to the 5-yard line. 1st and goal, New York. That time he beat Atkins for 17 yards.
They're going to tack a little bit on at the end of that play as well. Face mask penalty going against the Dolphins, and Corbett doing a nice job just finding the hole in the zone.
Incidental face mask, number 28 of the defense. Half the distance from the end of the run. First down.
High fives and headbutts all around.
Yeah, but they still got to punch it into the end zone. And remember, no rushing touchdowns all season. They've got it 1st and goal at the Miami 3, trailing by 6. Baxter and Morrell split backs behind Brister, 2 tight ends. Fake it. Brister. Touchdown, Mitchell. Redemption for Johnny Mitchell, whose fumble set up Miami's go-ahead touchdown. He comes right back for this score. That is his first touchdown of the season.
And what a brilliant play by Bubby Brister. That had to be at least his fourth look on that play. He hung in there to the last possible moment and then found Mitchell for the touchdown.
Nick Lowry to give New York the lead. And he got it.
Go back to the decision. The Dolphins not going for the two-point conversion. Now trail by 1.
13:05 left in the game. Mitchell's touchdown and the Lowry extra point has given the Jets the lead. The NFL on NBC. Guinness, director Bucky Gunst, Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, Giant Stadium. Bubby Brister cradles that football after tossing the touchdown pass. The first fourth quarter touchdown by the Jets since November 20th last season. McDuffie hit, dropped short of the 20-yard line. 16-yard return.
Fred Baxter right there is going to draw the coverage into the back of the end zone, and Johnny Mitchell just sneaks underneath, and nobody even saw him crossing through. Bubby Brister, though, was the one that really made the play. He's going to start looking to the back, coming out of the backfield to the right, back across, takes a shot, and couldn't even watch. Was afraid to even look up.
Yes.
And finally, he got a chance to look up, and it was good.
He even goes in reverse. I didn't know Bubby was capable of such stuff. So now Kosar will try to answer for the Dolphins. Here's a screen set up to Parmalee. Penetration on the screen and a wonderful defensive play by Marvin Jones.
And the emotion, so rare in this stadium. And Marvin Jones, you see the great speed, of course, coming out of Florida State. And they were so excited on draft day when they got him, but they just haven't been able to keep him in the lineup. But here's why he was drafted that high. Just able to run down a screen pass from behind the blockers. Not many linebackers around can get that one done. Boomer and Gunner enjoying this one.
And it's 2nd and 12, Miami. Kosar's pass complete to Byers. Bumped out of bounds about the 26-yard line by Victor Green.
And Tom, how devastating would this loss be for the Miami Dolphins? Their third loss in a row if they can't make a comeback in this one. And for Don Shula, the dreams of winning that next Super Bowl and all the excitement, all the pressure on Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins put on by the local fans. And now they're up here getting beat by the Jets.
Marino or not, this is a game Miami cannot lose. They're 4th and 10 on third down conversions, 4 of 10. Kosar scrambling, still in trouble. Pitches it. Caught by Chris Gray, one of the linemen, and that won't work.
It's going to be an illegal forward pass. Obviously, you can't throw one to your offensive lineman. And it's also going to constitute a loss of down.
The Dolphins will have to punt. Kosar in trouble, just threw it to the first white jersey he could see. Unfortunately, it was a lineman, not an eligible receiver.
And Bernie just trying to create something now. It just wasn't there, and not even Bernie can get away with that.
Illegal forward pass, loss of down, 4th down.
My, how things have changed here in the second half.
This is amazing.
You know that Miami was in trouble when they had only 9 points after dominating the first half of play. Nearly blocked. There's a penalty marker down as Dexter Carter takes it at the 35. Reverses his field and cuts up. Carter to the sideline. Out of bounds at the Miami 46. Nice return, but we'll check the marker.
Boy, this is a big penalty flag. It is 4th down and less than 4. If this happened to be against the Jets, it would be a first down.
against Miami. Illegal man downfield. Dexter Carter. This is a 20-yard return, and he has put a life into the Jets here in the second half.
He got away with the fumble in the first half that he recovered himself. And now two big returns.
On the kicking team, number 24. Penalty is declined. First down.
Pat Johnson was illegally downfield, so this nice return by Dexter Carter will stand. Jets football when we return. Halloween arriving early for the Miami Dolphins, getting more than a scare from the New York Jets here today, with New York leading 17-16 in the fourth quarter.
And there's Mike Westhoff, the special teams coach, and this is 2 weeks in a row his troops have not got it done. Last week against the Saints, big punt, a muff punt, a roughing the kicker penalty really hurt the Dolphins, and John Dexter Carter's 2 big returns. Saints. One of their players, their linebacker, Ernest Dixon, said after that game that I don't know if the Dolphins came ready to play or not. And I think that may well apply to this game as well. You come in here against a Jets team that you watch them on film and they just have not been impressive at all.
You know, Jeff Cross was telling us yesterday he thought the loss to the Colts affected them against the Saints, and perhaps the 2 losses again made them flat, not up to par today. Cox comes with a blitz, they pick him up, and Brister delivers a strike. 35-yard line to Charles Wilson with J.B. Brown wrapped all over him. That should be enough for a first down.
And right now the Jets having good success working against the Dolphins zone defense. Brian Cox coming right up the middle, but he was picked up beautifully on the play by Cal Dixon. Boy, Cal Dixon with a magnificent block inside on Brian Cox. And it looked like Cox was going to get right through there, but hung with Brian, and that allowed Bubby to pick up the first down. Dixon, who's been having some back spasm problems, went to a chiropractor, been trying to do anything he could, but well, that was a terrific play there.
We saw the dramatic turnaround in yardage first and second half both ways. Baxter fumbled the football. It might have bounced right back to him, but Miami says they have it. Let's see. And the Jets have recovered. I think it bounced right back up to Baxter off the turf.
Boy, and you could hear the collective gasp in the crowd when this one hit the ground. Just one hand on the football, and just before it got down on the ground, and luckily Baxter in the right place to get that one back. The Jets now in field goal range. They're within range for a 50-yard field goal from Nick Lowry,
who already has hit a 50-yarder today. That's the score coming to the 9-minute mark. Brister has a man open, and he threw the ball low. Mitchell went downstairs but couldn't get there. And Brister missed him that time.
Tough play, tough catch for Johnny Mitchell, but those are the kind of catches that if you make them can win football games for your team. Bubby a little snappy with this throw and too cautious. Really, there was nobody out there for Johnny Mitchell, but that's a play that you can definitely make.
Now it's 3rd and 10. Pressure on Brister. He just heaved it away to avoid the rush as he was taken down by Jeff Cross.
Jeff Cross there with good pressure, and Jeff Cross bearing a bit of a cross. His mother died a couple of weeks ago and been flying back and forth to the West Coast. She had a long battle with cancer, so he's struggling on 2 ends.
Instead of trying a 51-yard field goal, they send Brian Hansen out for the punt.
Oh, really? Why is that? The wind not really blowing very hard in any direction.
And now Lauer's already hit one from 50. It would be 51 here. Instead, Hansen will try to pooch punt it, and it bounces right in the end zone. That is a very questionable call, and the fans don't like it a bit. The NFL on NBC. It's hit a 50-yard field goal today, 2 this season, and the net difference is only 14 yards. They had they missed a field goal, would given the ball to Miami back up field. As it is, it comes to the 20 on the touchback of the punt.
That was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. You've got a great weapon in Nick Lowry, and I'm sure he didn't want to give up the ball on the 40-yard line, but you've got to have a little faith in your guy that he's at least 50% from there.
Yeah, so a 21-yard difference perhaps net between where the punt wound up and what it would have been if they had missed the field goal. Completion to Williams, the tight end, collapsed by Marshall and Jones. First catch by Ronnie Williams today, replacing the injured Eric Green. So a questionable call on not going for the field goal by the New York Jets, and Miami still down only one. A field goal would put them ahead with less than 8.5 minutes to play. Parmalee driven back by the Jets defense. Only needed a yard or so for the first down, and his forward progress will net him that yardage. Mo Lewis drove him back, but Parmalee had first down yardage on forward progress.
And certainly this Jet defense has been playing better in this second half, but the idea that you're going to leave them back out there for 8 minutes to protect a 1-point lead, boy, you'd sure like to take the chance on having to force the Miami team to get into the end zone to beat you.
Kosar dodges one rusher and then wings it downfield over the head of his intended receiver, Mike Williams, with Aaron Glenn defending. He had a chance at an interception.
Not only was that a duck thrown by Bernie Kosar, that was an ugly duck. That thing came out and was spinning end over. It looked like a kickoff going down the field.
A Daffy Duck.
Boy, oh boy.
Second and 10.
Quack, quack, quack. Glenn still had a chance.
He can't catch him.
Even the opposition can't catch him.
Yeah, boy, Aaron Glenn. Let's get that. Stick him out.
Kosar lost it. And fallen on by Richmond Webb. Hugh Douglas, the man again. Hugh, the cry from the faithful. They'll rule it an incomplete pass. His arm was coming forward.
And not only Hugh Douglas winning the battle, but winning it against Richmond Webb. You're looking at maybe the best left tackle in football, and Hugh Douglas now is becoming a force in the National Football League. Richmond Webb telling us last night that Bruce Smith was the best defensive end that he plays against. But he may want to reassess after watching Hugh Douglas today.
3rd and 10. Kosar at the last minute flips it, and it's caught by McDuffie, I believe, right close to the first down. We'll see where they spot the football. And it is close enough they will measure. The first down specialist, O.J. McDuffie. Every time he touches the ball, it's the first down, it seems.
Clean catch. And the question now becomes, where did that ball come down? Danny Marino is going to help those officials best that he can. That was a good clutch play there by Bernie Kosar. He looked like he had nothing working and threw it in the only spot that McDuffie could catch it. Even if this one's short, you've got to believe the Dolphins go for it here.
And the McDuffie magic works once again. First down, Miami.
You don't suppose they'd second guess Rich Kotite in New York about not kicking that field goal? Some of the local papers and talk shows here.
It's already set in type. O.J. McDuffie, look at that. 78% of his touches result in first downs. 7 minutes even. Miami with the ball down 1. First down. Dolphin 42. Kosar is going to scramble with it. And out of bounds at the 45-44 of the Jets. First down, Miami on the run. Yes, run by Kosar, 14 yards.
And Hugh Douglas once again giving Richmond Webb problems on the outside, coming back underneath and forcing Bernie Kosar out. And was this a move I saw? Wait a minute, look at that. And Aaron Glenn said, wait a minute, it's like Big Bird running at me or something. He didn't know exactly what to do with him. Look at it from Aaron Glenn's perspective. That'd blow me away, too. Look at that. The old Sayers leg.
I don't think we can expect to see him in the Olympic trials next year. Parmalee. Slammed down at the 40 by Eric Howard.
Marvin Jones almost got there on the linebacker blitz. If that play had been run this way, there would have been one major collision. Just happened to guess right. Nice job there by Chris Gray, who saw it coming and just peeled back around in time to give his back room to run.
Kozar hit as he let it go. The Jets have it. If it's ruled a fumble, let's see.
I think it was.
It is. Hugh Douglas, the man that wrapped up Kozar again. Marvin Washington popped it loose, and the Jets recover.
Marvin Washington coming all the way around. You can see Ron Heller really gimping, that knee giving him problems, and he just couldn't get back. And Hugh Douglas, no way in the world you're going to wrestle that football away from him. Watch the limping, though, by Ron Heller. That knee is just not right. He doesn't practice. He just shows up on game day, and that time it cost the Miami Dolphins.
Big Hugh Douglas has become a force, and Kozar loses the ball. Man, Douglas, an unexpected star for the New York Jets. Brister, first down pass, got his man. Corbett, New York first down to the Miami 40.
And now let's go back to the decision by Rich Kotite. It's only fair. He made the decision not to kick the field goal, to rely on his defense, and it paid off. And now all of a sudden offensively, this is as good as the Jets have looked throwing the ball in a while. But why Troy Vincent is playing that far off of Wayne Corbett, I have no idea. I mean, they haven't thrown anything deep. Troy Vincent can probably run backwards as fast as Wayne Corbett can run forward, and he's given him about a 10-yard cushion.
Too big of a cushion enabled Corbett to just pull up for the easy first down reception. Ball at the Miami 40. New York leads by 1. Morrell ran away from Cross and got out of bounds. Stops the clock at 4:46. Chris Singleton chased him out, and so did Michael Stewart.
And now you have to start thinking about time management. The Dolphins have to find a way to get off the field. They're sending Brian Cox on the blitz, and once again there you saw the nice pickup on the play by Brad Baxter. He does it time after time and gives this offense an opportunity to make plays.
So Rich Kotite passing the long field goal attempt, turning it over to his defense, and they get him the ball back. 2nd and 7 now at the 37 of Miami. Brister wings it, and a bad pass intercepted by Troy Vincent. Vincent, who had the interception and touchdown return in game 1 against the Jets. Face mask on Corbett, who made the tackle of Vincent, will add to the return yardage. Bad pass, bad decision by Brister.
Absolutely nowhere to throw that football. Troy Vincent was in the hip pocket of Wayne Corbett. They tried the out and up, the same one they scored on the touchdown. Maybe a case for an illegal contact down the field.
Personal foul, face mask on number 80 after the interception. 15 yards, first down.
And for Bubby Brister, just a terrible decision. He'd been playing well, making the right reads. The ball should have never been thrown. You've got the football inside the Dolphins' 40-yard line, time running down. Just a terrible decision for Bubby.
Once again, the Jets threatening to self-destruct, giving Miami new life. 4:39 to play. First down, Miami, their own 35, trailing 17-16. Kozar's pass complete. Clark. Gain of 11 and a first down. Marvin Jones wrestles him to the turf.
And Tom, one thing to point out here, Pete Stoyanovich has not had a lot of success in game-winning field goal situations as of late. The playoff game last year against San Diego, the Colt game this year, a chance to win it. Didn't get it done either time there, so they certainly want to make this drive gain as many yards as possible to make it as easy as possible for Pete Stoyanovich.
Parmalee on the sweep. Midfield and beyond. Twisted down by Marvin Washington. Don't forget, coming up tonight, Game 2 of the World Series. Pre-game show starting at 7 o'clock. First pitch at 7:27 p.m. Eastern Time. Atlanta, of course, with the one-run win last night. Martinez against Glavine. Game 2 of the World Series. Pre-game show starting at 7 Eastern here on NBC.
I'd like to have those two guys as your second starters. Not too bad.
Pretty impressive. I think it's going to be a great series. Bernie Kosar, a big Cleveland fan and Indian season ticket holder for 15 years. In fact, Terry Kirby's brother is a member of the Cleveland Indians. Parmalee on the swing pass. Chased out of bounds by Victor Green. Bernie Kosar has hit 25 of 36 today for 160 yards.
Boy, big sequence now coming for the Miami Dolphins. 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Definitely 4-down territory for the Miami Dolphins, and Boomer trying to get the crowd into it, and they are more emotional today.
For a change, something to cheer about for their team. 3rd and 2. Pass complete. First down, Miami. Irving Fryer to the 35 of the Jets. Vance Joseph knocks him down there, but a big clutch reception by Fryer.
And this is a nice throw in there by Bernie Kosar. Plenty of zip on that ball, working against Vance Joseph, the guy that was really picked apart by the Raiders a couple of weeks ago. He's improved his game, but they are now very close to field goal position for Stoyanovich.
2:44 on the counting. Pitch to Parmalee. Jumped over one man, then grabbed by Mo Lewis, and out of bounds at the 32-yard line.
And Burt Widener getting out in front, and Mo Lewis not happy about something, but I thought that was a great run that time by Parmalee. The play was a little slow developing, and he had the presence of mind to hesitate just in time for Burt Widener to get out in front of him, and that's really what made the play.
Parmalee now 119 yards rushing today on 24 carries.
And that was some crackback block as well by Irving Fryer on Mo Lewis.
Intercepted. Vance Joseph, the rookie.
Unbelievable. Excuse me, Ty. Mike Williams is going to slip on the play, and it's going to go right in the lap of Vance Joseph. The slip down and the gift. Here's a guy that was humiliated, torn apart by the Raiders. Tried to play man-to-man coverage against Tim Brown and some of those great receivers. The only guy after that game that even called him was his mother and said, "Son, I thought you played pretty well out there." And now Vance Joseph, the hero, and Bernie Kosar taking a shot at the end of that one from Marvin Jones.
And remember how in the first half that every time the Jets did something good, a bad break came their way. They just couldn't get a break. Well, here in the second half, the breaks have gone all their way. Brad Baxter with a carry to the Miami 35-yard line as we approach the 2-minute warning. Miami takes a timeout, which will stop the clock at the 2:17 mark.
This is amazing for the Miami Dolphins to come in here and to possibly lose to this New York Jet team. What a disaster.
Well, it's been a surprising game, and of course, more great football action coming your way. Second game of the doubleheader right at the conclusion of this one. Most of you will see Kansas City and Denver. Others will see Indianapolis and Oakland. Kansas City, Denver, Indianapolis, Oakland. Check your local listings. Second half of the doubleheader coming up next. The NFL here on NBC.
Remember Rich Kotite telling us, so we asked him about this game and did his team have a chance. He said, hey, this is not the Christians and the Lions. And I remember thinking, yeah, the Christians had a lot better chance than you guys had coming in here. But I don't know what he said to those guys at halftime, but they came out ready to play some football. And of course, Dan Marino not a part of it, and Bernie Kosar can't really blame him for what happened. Mike Williams just slipped down on the play.
Tough 3 yards. Tackle made by Hollier and Brown. As we come to the 2-minute warning. Jets looking to salt away the upset with 2 minutes left.
Here we are at the World's Do-It-Yourself Finals. Larry Snyder's up in the routing compulsories. This man's making a name for himself today. Very smooth. But can Larry and his trusty Ryobi tools handle the 4x4? He takes it deep. Out of here. This kid's coming in unranked. But he's got all the tools, the power, the touch. Oh, he's in the zone now!
Why does a red wolf travel in a pack? So there's enough to go around for everyone. Really red, really smooth. Red Wolf. Follow your instincts.
Because the world can be a big, scary place. The Chevy Blazer with the exclusive driver control system. It's nice to know it's there.
Red Wolf. Disappearing nightly. Really red, really smooth. Red Wolf. Follow your instincts.
Monday, the Fresh Prince and Carlton are trapped by a big, bad boyfriend.
We're not really here.
Sorry. And in the house, Kim Wayans from In Living Color stalks Marion.
And I shaved my mustache.
In the house after Fresh Prince, NBC Monday.
Bernie Kosar with the rally cap as he looks to the defense to make a big stop here, and headaches all around on the Miami sideline as the Dolphins in danger of losing their 3rd straight game. Dolphins trying to stop New York. They converted only 1 of 8 third downs. Brister fumbles the ball and will be sacked back at the 42-yard line by Marco Coleman.
How can it happen time after time after time to these Jets? I mean, all they got to do is pick up a yard and the ball game's over, and they're going to fumble the snap. And for Rich Kotite, he's a former sparring partner for Muhammad Ali, and if he thought Ali used to give him headaches, it's nothing compared to this team. Right in position, 1 yard, and the ball game's over.
Yeah. Now they have to punt. Loss takes them back out of field goal range.
Boomer's head was feeling better until that one.
Bubby fumbles the snap. The Jets give the Dolphins new life.
And the other thing that did, Tom, was it took him out of range for any potential field goal, although we probably know that he wouldn't have tried it. But they were down on the 31-yard line, would have been about a 48-yard field goal. So once again, the Dolphins to get another chance, and they've had more chances today than probably what they deserve. What a strange game for Don Shula. They have to win this game. You look at their schedule coming up. Buffalo next, at San Diego, New England, San Francisco, at Indianapolis.
Miami has taken a timeout.
When you have a new reason for wanting the most secure life insurance, talk to the quiet company, Northwestern Mutual Life.
When Dave Thomas created Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich, he used a whole breast fillet seasoned with his own blend of pepper and spices, but did he go too far?
Cool.
Apparently not. Try Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich today.
Coming up next, Game 2 of our NFL on NBC doubleheader. It's a Wild West showdown as Steve Bono and the AFC West leading Chiefs battle John Elway and the Broncos. Or Marshall Faulk and the red-hot Colts collide with the Raiders. Or the Chargers face the Seahawks. The NFL on NBC, made in America.
Back at Giant Stadium, Brian Hansen to punt for the Jets. Wobbly snap, got the kick away, but that is going to sail right into the end zone for the touchback. So the Dolphins will get it at the 20-yard line. So the Jets had it 3rd and 1 yard to win the game. And Brister fumbles the exchange from center, which not only enables them not to pick up the first down, but out of field goal range too.
I mean, you take snaps 100 times a day in practice, and in the one key moment, they're lucky to get that ball back. And let's make this point, too, for Brian Hansen. That's 2 straight bad punts. He's had 2 chances to pin the Dolphins back in their own zone and twice put it into the end zone.
Well, it appears at times that neither team wants to win the game. The Dolphins get one last chance with 1:49 showing. They have 1 timeout. Kozar got away from trouble, got it to Kirby. Got a block. Kirby cutting back. He's to the 40-yard line. Miami first down. Aaron Glenn got him to the turf. Good scramble to get free by Kosar. 19-yard gain.
Really have to go back to 2 decisions. The one not to go for the 2-point conversion, and Rich's decision not to go for the field goal.
Incomplete, intended for McDuffie.
Trying to work that underneath zone, and now the Jets not really feeling comfortable because of all the injuries in their secondary, playing man-to-man coverage. They're just dropping back in the zones, and this is where you really miss a guy like Eric Green, somebody that could go down and split the defense and put a little pressure, and just a big body to throw in there against that zone defense.
2nd and 10. Ball at the Dolphin 40. Jets lead by 1. 1:18 to play. Kozar had his arm hit, and it's intercepted again. Victor Green picked this one off. Hugh Douglas again put the pressure on Kozar, and Green gets the interception. Neither team wants to win.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind who the most valuable player of this game has been. Hugh Green, working against the all-pro Richmond Webb, has been there consistently all day long.
Well, you said Hugh Green. It's Hugh Douglas. He's playing like Hugh Green.
That's right. Thank you. Hugh Douglas just comes back underneath, and Bernie unable to make the follow-through. And for the Dolphins, a disastrous loss. That is a big, strong guy in there. Hugh Douglas just fighting and fighting against Richmond Webb, and finally coming through and making the play. The one thing about Bernie Kosar, though, remember Richmond telling us yesterday, he holds the ball longer than does Dan Marino. We know we have to protect it longer than we did with Dan.
Brister takes a knee and fires the ball to the referee.
Who would have believed this one?
And the Dolphins spend their last timeout, stopping the clock at 1:06. And
for the Jets, their defense has done it again, though. Last week they played very well against Carolina. And for a team that really had struggled with the 3 interceptions, so big today.
And the last 2, not really his fault. Douglas hit him as he released that last one. Mike Williams, the receiver, slipped on the one before that. But I think the point you made, and the point that Richmond Webb made to us yesterday about Kosar not having the quick release of a Marino. Of course, no one does that, but holding the ball a count longer has really been disastrous for Miami on the interceptions. Boy, Don Shula has seen his team off to the fast start and then lose 3 in a row to the most improbable teams. In retrospect, Indianapolis doesn't look so bad, but they lost to then winless New Orleans and losing to the Jets, a team they had defeated handily in game 1, only the second victory of the season for New York. Well, we understand the snow is falling in Denver, and most of you will be going there at the conclusion of this game for the Broncos and the Chiefs. Some of you will see the rejuvenated Colts against the Raiders in game 2 of our doubleheader. There's the lineup again. Kansas City, Denver in the snow in the Mile High City, or the Colts and Raiders.
How do you figure, though, from the 24-3 halftime lead against the Colts, they blow that game, the Dolphins do, and then come back and lose to the Saints, lose to the Jets? The best team supposedly in the AFC, the team with all this talent. Unbelievable.
And the talk of the Super Bowl is very quiet at the moment for Shula and the Dolphins. Sweet for Rich Kotite, but a bitter pill for the Miami Dolphins.
And for Rich Kotite, all that conversation about Jimmy Johnson coming here, and he told us that, you know, that was a rumor that just followed me down the Jersey Turnpike from Philadelphia. They first started that up there, but sweet victory for Rich today.
After a dismal first half, the New York Jets rally to upset the Miami Dolphins 17-16. Now stay tuned for game 2 of our doubleheader here on NBC. For Chris Collinsworth, this is Tom Hammond saying so long for the Meadowlands. This has been a presentation of the NFL on NBC, home of Super Bowl 30. So long, everybody.